Back with filmmaker John Carpenter. John, thanks for being here. Thanks for bringing these two movies that you've picked tonight to us.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
So for those of you who may not know John Carpenter, I try to avoid hyperbole. But this is arguably the most influential horror director of all time. That argument could certainly be made, and I know there are a lot of filmmakers today who would make it. You've made some good films, John.
Thank you very much. You're very kind.
We just saw Frankenstein from 1931, James Whale's film. You talked about the influence that Whale and Frankenstein had on the films that you made. The movie we have now is The Curse of Frankenstein. It's just a reimagination of Mary Shelley's story, made in the late 50s, 1957, by Hammer Films. This also influenced your work as a filmmaker, because this is a totally inventive way to redo this story.
I was 9 years old, I saw this, and this was for my generation then. I had never seen anything like this. Curse of Frankenstein was all British actors and Terence Fisher directing.
One of the great horror directors of his time.
Jack Asher shooting it in color.
The fact that this was in color was a big deal. Tell me why.
Well, it wasn't just the viscera, the blood, but it was everything about the mood of the story. And Frankenstein's face was, was raw flesh, which it would have been.
Yeah, you'll see Christopher Lee as the monster here, or they call it the creature here. Considering that the image of Frankenstein is indelible, it is a word I try not to use. It is iconic,
yes,
right?
Yes.
And clearly they were like, well, we're not gonna
do that.
We're not gonna do that.
Let's do something different.
This is the Hammer film that launched Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee as horror stars.
Superstars, yeah. Christopher Lee really wanted to do this Boris Karloff role. And he lived in the same apartment that Boris Karloff had in London when he did it. And it was shot in and around Hammer's main studio, Bray Castle. So they go out in the moors and shoot a couple scenes. And the feeling was unbelievable. It was unlike the Universal version, which is Hollywoodized. This had a reality to it. That's what stunned me so much.
So why do you say there's more reality here than in the 1931 film?
Well, in The Curse of Frankenstein, they go through the steps that Frankenstein takes to create a monster. He cuts down this man they've just hung.
What I like is they hadn't just hung him. They even say they hung him 3 or 4 days ago.
That's right. He's a little raw.
He's a little raw, yeah.
And they have to get eyes, then they have to get a brain.
So the process of getting these parts, this turns into a procedural.
That's right. How to make a monster.
Well, the birds didn't waste much time, did they? The eyes. Half the head's eaten away.
They did something unique. They had him in almost like an aquarium, the creature.
Mm-hmm.
It was all bandaged up. You didn't know what was going to come out. And he was floating in there.
Regarding the reality, because I've heard people say this about you, your films, that you think it's critical when you're gonna have something so dramatic, fantastical, a person you can't believe exists who's a threat, a menace to everybody else, or an unknown threat to everybody else, that you're gonna give people a heavy dose of reality first to make them believe what? The characters, the story?
Well, it depends on the story, though. In Halloween, this guy had a big old knife. Well, I know what a knife does. I don't need to show you. I want to show him because he's partially human, partially supernatural. We don't want to know Michael Myers too well. We want to keep him a stranger to us. In The Thing, this is a creature that imitates everything it's ever been around. So by God, we're going to bring it out in the light and show you. The cliche is you never show the devil. If I can really get a shot of the devil, I'm telling you, I'm going to put it up there and show you. It's going to scare you.
All right, John, time to see the movie.
I'm ready.
Here it is. From Hammer Films in 1957, directed by Terence Fisher, Peter Cushing, Christopher Lee, The Curse of Frankenstein. So they made a sequel with Peter Cushing, which, given the end, should tell you that that someone else had their head taken off there at the guillotine.
That's correct.
Yeah.
They sewed it back on.
They sewed it back on. But forget the sequel. You just take the 82 minutes of this film. So different than the first one. And really the main thing, I mean, color, blood, but mostly he's a murderer.
Big time. He's an evil character.
He's an evil character. You don't want him to be, right?
But he is, and he gets his comeuppance in the end of the movie, as we just saw.
Right, but you keep thinking because you know the first one, which again is a nice little trick that they play, that they know everybody in the audience expects a moment of, what am I doing? What have I done?
Yeah.
But there's no what have I done?
No.
Which makes this
It nails you. It nails you
Yeah.
to the back of the theater, especially when you're 9 years old. I got to tell you, it's big.
You saw it in the theater. At
I
9.
did,
And
and
it- and
I
it-
could not keep my eyes off the screen.
Yeah, you were struck by it.
Oh, big.
So it's one of those movie-going experiences that
I'll never forget it.
Yeah. Well, let me throw this out. What else? Give me another one. Give me another couple movies that like just that
Okay.
floored you.
The Thing from Another World was jaw-dropping. What really nailed me was a movie called The Fly with Vincent Price. And it's a teleportation type movie.
You saw that in the theater too?
I did.
Yeah. If you hadn't been beaten to it, would you have remade that movie? Is that a movie you would have been interested in doing again?
Sure.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't have done it like Cronenberg. You know, he intellectualized it. I just love the big head of the
Right.
big fly head.
you would have had
Because I that was popcorn flying.
Right.
I didn't expect to see that. Whoa! It went up in the air.
Have you had those moments for movies? You must have. For movies that aren't horror films? Like you
Oh yeah,
you-
yeah, big time.
Yeah.
Big time. My life was the movies. You know, I was like the original Frankenstein monster. I was different. Grew up in a small southern town, and my parents were Yankees.
So
What
they
are we
were-
doing here?
they
You
were
know,
at
we
it all.
don't sound like them. We don't believe what they believe. So where did I find my redemption? Movies. I went to the movies all the time.
And then you came to LA, what, 1968?
68, I wanted to be a director, and I wanted a career.
You knew you wanted to direct.
That's it.
Did you know you wanted to do everything? I mean, you
No,
You
I
directed.
didn't. I had no idea about that.
and so the writing and the editing and
No, I had to
and the
do that
composing.
because nobody else would do it.
I mean, because of the money.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
I mean, so if you'd had a lot of money, you'd have hired an editor.
Hell yes, I would. Oh yeah, but you know, you don't have that when you're coming out of student filmmaking, so you have to make do.
John Carpenter. Wow, I can't believe I'm sitting here talking about horror films
You're
with you.
very kind.
This is,
But I think that these two movies stimulate you, and they are both great in their own ways. And I love them both. I got to say, I love them both.
Would you? I know you're going to say yes, but I mean, we got to have you back. You got to do like at least one night of horror for us a year.
I'm ready.
All right.
I am so ready.
The great John Carpenter. Thank you so much
Man,
for
thank
being
you.
here. Pleasure. John is done for the night, but of course the movies roll on here on TCM, and as always, they are uncut and commercial free. So stick around.
Next on TCM, Black Tuesday, then Big Wednesday, and later, Hooper. TCM is living on the edge tonight.